Overflow Stories lets you create step-by-step walkthroughs of your design that your audience can follow at their own pace. In this video, we'll walk you through the basics of creating your first story and provide useful tips to speed up your workflow. For the purpose of this tutorial, we'll work with an existing Overflow document containing an audio app user flow we prepared earlier. To create our first story, we enter Stories Editor by clicking on the Stories icon button. Alternatively, we can press S on our keyboard. The Scenes navigation panel appears on the right of our screen. Scenes are areas we want our audience to focus on. Let's create our first scene by clicking the Add Scene button. Overflow will automatically create a scene of more or less the size of what's currently in view. Let's say we want our audience to focus on just the splash screen. We can resize and place the screen accordingly. Let's now draw a second scene over our project's payment subflow. This time we create the scene by pressing A on our keyboard. This allows us to draw the scene freely over any part of the design we want to include. Notice how the right-hand panel contains thumbnails of the scenes we created. Let's click on the first thumbnail to go back to the first scene. One of the most important features of Overflow Stories is the ability to provide our audience with additional context with the use of text prompts. Let's click on the text bubble icon to do that. Think of these prompts as your own voice, narrating and explaining your designs to your audience as they follow the story scene by scene. You can reposition your prompt's tip to any desired position so that it points exactly where you want it to or doesn't interfere with any visual information. Let's also add a couple of prompts in our second scene. You can add an unlimited number of prompts in any scene, but only one is viewable at any given time. Prompts are listed under each scene in the story panel. If you want, you can rearrange scenes and prompts by dragging them to a different order. This is the order that our audience will view scenes and prompts when playing the story presentation later, so it's important to make sure everything makes sense before sharing. One more useful tip is that you add scenes and prompts on different boards of your document. In our example, we have a second board containing 3 different versions of the same screen. Let's switch to our other board. We'll add a scene that covers these 3 screens. Let's now add one text prompt on each version so our audience can understand what they see. Notice how the new scene and its prompts were added below the first 2, regardless of the fact that they were applied on different boards. Now let's create a publication link, making sure the Include Story in Publication is toggled so that others can enjoy the story presentation we just put together. We can share a direct link to the story we just created. The story will play automatically when recipients open the link in their browser, and all they have to do is press the left and right arrows to follow the story. Alternatively, if we share just the publication link, the story will not play automatically and will need to be triggered by recipients by clicking the Story button. And that's it. Happy storytelling!